Welcome back to Triple Threat Podcast, guys. My name is Ishan Chef. Joining me is Willie Zell. Say hello, Will.
Hello, guys.
So today we're going to be doing Will's mock draft, starting with the New Orleans Pelicans at number 1. Who do you have?
This is my team, and as Agent Wojnarowski reported, they're taking Zion. I think they're taking Zion. Zion's the best player. I mean, he may not turn out to be the best player in this draft, but no one will revitalize the Pelicans franchise as much as Zion will. I mean, we've heard potential leaks of maybe they're thinking of moving. Gail Benson, no, we're staying. This is our city, and I think Zion is going to be the player to turn New Orleans into a basketball city. We see the culture. They love the Saints. They love sports. They have the ability to get behind this team. They just haven't had a cause to. They have no reason to. Anthony Davis is he's a star. He doesn't have that magnetism. I mean, what Zion will do, he'll bring a market to a small market. He will make it a large market just by being there. I mean, he may gain a couple 20 pounds by just eating the food here, go up to 305, but that won't matter. New Orleans will be partying because we got Zion.
Really, I was expecting you to have Tyus Battle go number 1, so I'm a little surprised he said Zion, but
I mean,
moving on to number 2.
They're comparable players in the ACC, comparable.
Okay, comparable. Okay. Moving on to number 2, we got Memphis taking who?
It's got to be Ja Morant, flying up the draft boards with his stellar play this season. I mean, his playmaking is phenomenal, showing that triple-double in the NCAA tournament. I mean, he set his name on the highest stage, and just being able to prove it at that level, I mean, he's 6'3", 170. I mean, what he's done to really grow his draft stock, his development as a player, being a third option on a AAU team, I mean, he was not getting any looks, any scholarships. I mean, he found a way to get his assist. He shows his phenomenal. He's just the most valuable player to that team, and I think he could end up being the best player. He has an average shot. He's got to work on his turnovers, but he has great playmaking. He scores phenomenally, and he makes his team so much better. I mean, he is athletic, and I think he brings a phenomenal game to the NBA.
All right. At pick number 3, you got another guy with a 40-plus inch vertical. Who you have going to the New York Knicks?
The Maple Mamba is going to be headed to Madison Square Garden. I mean, they're going to be mad because it's not the Duke player they wanted. They wanted Zion. I get that. But you can't expect the best. You can't expect to have the number 1 overall pick when you only have a 14% chance of it. You can't be mad when the more likely outcome doesn't happen, and you get left with somebody who was the consensus number 1 overall pick, who did nothing at all wrong in college besides have no floor spacing around him. He showed his ability to play make. He showed his amazing ability to score. He does have an issue with turnovers as well, and his shooting percentages were not great, but what he can do for this, he also has a lot of market and magnetism to him. And bringing him to New York, that's a star. I mean, even if you don't get a Kevin Durant with his injury, even if you don't get a Kyrie who chooses the other team in the city, you get R.J. Barrett, and who I think in 2 years' time will be a better player than Kyrie Irving is at that same age. Or not that same age, but when Kyrie will be 30-something. But like in the future, I think R.J. will eventually overtake Irving.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying if he goes to the Nets, I don't think he's going to have that much production alongside D'Angelo Russell.
Well, that's the thing. I don't see D'Angelo staying long-term in Brooklyn.
I mean, they want to create a backcourt duo with them, but that's future. Future doesn't even relate to the Knicks. Knicks, be happy. That's a great pick you have right there.
Yeah, you got a 22-point scorer in college. Don't be sad about that. All right, at number 4, you got the New Orleans Pelicans.
Jarrett Culver, I think it's more of a positional need as well. I think he'll fit better in New Orleans. Phenomenal defensive end of the court. I mean, what he does, he can pass the ball a little bit. I mean, he showed his ability to rack up assists. Not the best playmaker, but he can get the ball to his teammates when they're open. He can rebound the ball defensively. I mean, what he does, he gets the ball, and he was fortunate a little bit too much in the tournament to be an offensive, the center of the offense for Texas Tech. They were forcing him to shoot three. They were forcing him to be their greatest player. I mean, they were forcing him to get them to the wins, but he showed his ability to do it on the biggest stage. He showed his ability to be a great player. He showed his ability to be an offensive player. And I think he's taking a little bit of a backseat role offensively and taking over the defense. I think New Orleans should be happy because they get arguably two of the better defensive players in this draft, and they're having a phenomenal year. I mean, what David Griffin's going to be doing with this team, rebuilding it completely. They could be pushing for playoffs this first season with this core they have, potentially. But Colford, defensive side of the basketball, this Pelicans team will be very hard to breach. They have some great defensive players on that team.
Now, what do you see Culver's ceiling being, given the fact that he's going to take a backseat role? And let's say he stays in New Orleans long term. What do you see his ceiling being?
I'm going to put it out there. I think he could develop into like a Paul George type player. Get that defense
Oh, wow.
that's phenomenal. And if he just works on his offensive game, I think he could build himself up. Because Paul George is an average three-point shooter, maybe above average. His offensive game is really developed. I think they're really similar prospects.
Yeah.
With coming out, they're very similar prospects. And I think Culver has the ability to get to a Paul George level, but I think it's going to be a long, long road to get there.
And I don't know if he will ever develop into that Paul George level player if he does take a backseat. My ceiling for him taking the backseat role in New Orleans was Jimmy Butler, so slightly toned down on the scoring, but still defensively very sound.
I
Now
mean,
we
you
have,
can't complain with Jimmy Butler at the fourth overall pick.
yeah, no, not at all.
Especially one that's
So,
not gonna destroy your chemistry in the locker room.
yeah. Jarrett Culver seemed very mild-mannered. He seemed like a really good off-the-court presence, so I like that.
I mean,
So
he
now
should thrive behind Zion. I mean, small market, he's gonna love it there. I mean, he may also gain 15 pounds, but that's all right.
he's a pretty skinny dude, so
He
it's
might
all
need
right.
it.
I don't know about Zion though. So we have Cleveland at the fifth overall pick to pair with LeBron, Kyrie, Love, and JR. Who do you have Cleveland selecting?
I have them taking DeAndre Hunter, and I know our first five picks are the exact same, but with this draft class, I mean, we've kind of solidified our
But they have
opinions.
LeBron at small forward.
um, but just going on DeAndre, I think his offensive game wasn't highlighted because he was behind Kyle Guy and behind Ty Jerome, and he was really the third option offensively. I think he wasn't really able to showcase his entire offensive ability, but he has that long arms to play defense like a Kawhi Leonard. Obviously not that good defensively, but a 7'2" wingspan is definitely
Yeah.
really impressive for somebody at 6'7". Um, he's a good shooter. He'll get to the line, make his free throws, he'll stand at the 3-point line, he'll make his shots. He's very valuable to team success. I think that'll translate to the NBA. But problems are we haven't seen him offensively be the man, and behind Colin Sexton, I wonder what he's going to be in Cleveland. But solid prospect. I don't think he can't be a bust, but he can be not a star. I think he'll have a couple All-Stars. I never see him getting to that All-NBA level unless he becomes that amazing offensive player that we never saw in college.
And I also, besides playing behind two guys, I think it's a product of a system as well. When you're playing a UVA system, you're sacrificing individual offensive stat numbers for the greater good of your team.
And
You're
we
playing
saw
at a
it paid
much
off.
slower pace. Yeah.
I mean, we saw it paid off. You sacrifice your numbers offensively, you win a national championship. I don't think he can complain with doing that.
Yeah.
He's going to be the fifth overall pick. I mean,
He's clutch too. I would like to see him beef up because he has the ability to play power forward, and he needs to develop a more inside game, and beefing up and getting stronger will definitely help with that. So now you have Phoenix at the sixth overall pick. Who do you have them taking?
I am selecting Kobe White. Difference between Kobe White and Darius Garland, the 2 point guard options that I was debating
Yeah.
between them getting, is that I don't think you can really survive and be a great team with two players in the backcourt that are going to be negatives on the defensive end. And Kobe White is going to be a positive on that end, and he can develop to be a good offensive player. I think Booker can manage the load and also take the ball up and be a point guard, which we saw last season. So I think that's going to help Kobe White develop. And I think that having that offensive game structured around Booker, I think is going to help Kobe White thrive. And I think there's only one ball. And I think Darius Garland and Devin Booker would. It'd be hard to share that because those are two dynamic players. And I think that
What about like a Dame and CJ type thing?
yeah, but Dave and CJ does work, but for a while there it didn't. They got a pretty decent run here. There's a lot of luck in that run, but still, all
And they
credit to
had
them for
Nurkic,
making it.
and they had
All
more
credit for
defensive
them for making
oriented
it.
wings.
But still, I
Yeah.
mean, we saw for years that duo was not doing anything. Swept by the Pelicans last year. Um,
Imagine being a Pelicans fan.
we have Zion now. It's all right. We all good. Um,
Uh,
But Kobe White is going to be a phenomenal player for them, and I think with Monty Williams, a former Pelican guy, I think that that's going to be a good team this year. I think they could turn some heads. I don't think we're going to see an immediate jump in improvement of this Suns team, but Kobe White should certainly help them maybe crack 30 wins. Ooh, that'd be crazy.
oh. So one thing with Kobe White that's a bit of a downside for me is his lack of playmaking ability. Like we saw flashes of it at UNC, but I really was not too fond of his assist to turnover ratio.
hmm
So do you think being in a less ball dominant role with Devin Booker having the keys to the offense and with DeAndre Ayton down low, do you think his playmaking will improve over time?
I think it will because he has the players around him to be a good offensive player, and I think that he's not going to have to create as much because of Booker. And I think Booker's going to open up a lot of things for him offensively that he couldn't do at North Carolina. And I think that's going to be a big difference. The spacing in the NBA is so much different than college, and that helps
Yeah.
everybody playmaking wise.
Moving on to pick number 7, you have your New Orleans Pelicans selecting a point guard, and who is that point guard?
It's got to be Darius Garland. He's my third point guard in this draft, and I really like him. Arguably number two. I think Kobe White and Darius Garland are tied at two right now, in my opinion. And we had a very small sample size, but what we saw was lights out. He could score, he could shoot, he can do everything. He looked phenomenal except for play defense. But going into the Pelicans, he's not going to be asked to play defense that much. If they bring back Alfred Payne, phenomenal defender. Uh,
Holiday.
Holiday, All NBA first team defender. He got robbed. Um, Zion, great defender, high intensity. Culver, phenomenal defender. Darius Garland will be the offensive maestro to this team, and what he will do for the Pelicans, it is going to be something special, and they're going to be so glad they traded away Lonzo for this pick because Darius Garland is going to be a million times better for the Pelicans than Lonzo Ball is. Because if they had Lonzo, they'd be just stuck in this uncreative offense that would never prosper. And Darius, he's going to be great for the Pelicans.
Now, he was an okay playmaker in college, Darius Garland, but do you see him improving in the NBA? Because I don't know how good he is if he's not
He's going to
handed the
be a
keys to
third
an offense.
option. He's going to be phenomenal, man. Woo!
So is he going to be like spot up, or is he going to be a
I
bit
mean,
more than that?
he'll be the best shooter on the team. No questions asked. Etwan Moore is not that kind of guy.
Uh,
Good shooter though. Do like him a lot. The Pelicans need shooting. Darius shoots lights out for what we saw. 22 threes. Made 48% of them. Man, this guy was going to be electric. They need shooting. They need scoring. If they needed a point guard, Darius Garland is going to be the cherry on top of this draft class.
all right, so you have the Atlanta Hawks at pick 8, and who do you have them selecting?
It's your boy, Sekou Doumbouya. I mean, he's 18 right now, and he's already great. I mean, he scored um, per 36, 15 points a game in overseas. Not a great shooter, but that's not really what you wanted out of him. But he is athletic. He's a good defender. He is great. He has a good 3-point shot. He's got a good stroke. It's not falling for him, but he has a good stroke. He's young, he's raw, and he's going to be great. I mean, I think that what he's going to be doing on the wing for Atlanta is going to be phenomenal, and I think that what he's going to I just love him. I just love him. I mean, that's all I can say. There's always one good European every year, and like Luka Doncic last year, Sekou Doumbouya is going to be the one international player this year.
Okay, I feel like that's a little debatable. There are a lot of good Europeans in the NBA because Radions Carux from your team Brooklyn played very,
Okay, that was a good pick.
very
Okay, there's
well
there's
this year.
one phenomenal European player every year. Let me get my point straightened. There's one
Okay,
phenomenal one every year.
okay.
Is that better?
So now there we go. So now we move to the dysfunctional capital of the U.S., where we have the dysfunctional team, the Washington Wizards. Who do you have them selecting at number 9?
Assuming Dwight Howard is already washed up somewhere in the middle of the ocean, um, I think they need someone that's going to be
Where did they
controlling the
go, you bring
paint.
out?
He's let's just not talk about Dwight. They're gonna need someone to clog up the paint and be that great player. Rui Hachimura, I have him fifth on my big board. I love him as a player. He can score. He's going to contribute to team success. He decent shooter. He's decent defender. He is like I was saying a little bit earlier, I think kind of like an Al Horford. Not exactly, but he's going to be that all-around kind of player. Not great at rebounding for a big man, but he can do everything, and I think that's going to be a great asset. He's 21, to be on the older side, but coming out, he's learned English in the past couple of years, so I mean that's pretty helpful in the NBA. Put up 20 points a game for Gonzaga. I think what he's done is absolutely spectacular. Um, Rui as a player, he's grown every single year. I mean, we've seen his development, and I think it's going to take another step in the NBA. I don't think we've seen the final step Rui's taken. And
Yeah,
he just wants to learn, he wants to grow, and he wants to be that national pride for Japan. And I mean, he's half Japanese, but I think that's going to be phenomenal for Rui. Rui always was an outsider in his whole life, but this time he's going to be the cream of the crop. Rui Hachimura is going to be great for the Wizards. I mean, I don't know if John Wall's going to be great for the Wizards coming off his Achilles injury and other injuries, mini injuries. Um, but if Bradley Beal and
yeah.
Rui Hachimura next season before Wall comes back, and then maybe if they have Jabari Parker, that's going to be a great team. Or not great team, they're going to be a great duo. Bad team.
All right. With the 10th overall pick, you have my Atlanta Hawks selecting who?
First name Bull, last name Bull, his grandfather's name, bringing pride to his family. I mean, what can you want out of a center? This man has the highest ceiling of any player in this draft. I mean, sure, injury concerns is going to be massive. He's 7'2". I mean, all tall players have injury problems. I mean, we saw it with his dad. I mean, but he is going to be incredible if we see half of his potential. 7'7" wingspan. He is a knockdown 3-point shooter. His dad one time made 6 threes in one half, I think. Is that the stat?
Yeah,
Probably
one
more than
half. And
one half.
7-7.
It's incredible. He can score. He has good defensive rebounding skills. He has good offensive rebounding skills. He can shoot. As I said, he's going to be phenomenal, and he's a plus on the defensive end. He's a plus on the offensive end. He can space the floor. He is the perfect NBA center, and he's going to get out of the way for John Collins to be that guy in the paint. This would be scary amazing. I mean, Bull, Trae Young, John Collins, Kevin Herter, Alan Crabb. I mean, okay, we've run out of good players, but
DeAndre
you get
Bembry.
DeAndre Bembry. Okay, whatever. If you love Bembry that much, but that
Not
team is
really.
going to be. I mean, that front court with Bull and John Collins on the sleeve. John Collins. Thanks, Rep Hacks. Thank you, Hacks. Um, that'd be amazing. I don't know why you'd want Jackson Hayes over Bull. I don't know why.
Okay, so here's the reason why, and I see Hayes as a better shot blocker in my opinion. And we really need that because our team kind of sucks on defense. He's a better lob finisher, so he'll pair a little bit better with Trey Young in the pick and roll. And I also see Hayes having a better inside presence, but because I feel like John Collins has really developed his floor spacing, and Collins could play a little bit outside, and then you have Hayes inside. And also, it's that injury risk and the fact that he's not 208 pounds.
I mean, he is 208 pounds, so he's only
No, the
10.
fact that
Okay, the fact that he is 200. Like, he needs to bulk up, yes, but Bull, if he's, you have to be happy with the prospect he could be. I mean, he'll, I can't, he's so amazing. I can't even put it into words. It's blowing my mind away what this guy can do. I mean, he wanted to go back out there on the court, but injury's an injury. But he'll come back. Modern medicine is phenomenal, and we'll see what he does.
I just I do like the Bull pick, and I wouldn't be disappointed if we picked Bull, but I think this injury is just really not selling me. I think Atlanta has the chance to contend in the next 5 years. So if Bull gets injured and we miss that pick, that's really, really going to hurt us in the long run.
I know this isn't a great comparison, but would you sign Kevin Durant right now to a max 4-year max?
Would I sign Kevin Durant right now to a 4-year max in Atlanta?
Yes.
Um, I don't know.
I think you would.
He's gonna kind of screw up the rebuild, but Kevin Durant's Kevin
Okay,
Durant when he comes
I mean,
back a year later.
as a team, would you risk injury to get the prospect that he could be?
Well, we already know what Kevin Durant brings to the table.
But we
We
don't know what
already
he's gonna
know,
bring to the table after the injury.
but still, I don't know if I'd sign him to a 4-year max when he has an Achilles injury, which will never make him the same player. I don't know if Bull will be the same player because I feel like he's going to have repeated minor injuries like his dad or like Yao Ming or Kristaps, someone that I compare him to a lot. And I don't know if I don't know. I'd rather take Hayes as a safer pick because the reward no, the risk really outweighs the reward for Bull.
We'll come back to this in a couple of years, and I could be hugely wrong if he gets another injury, or I could be here basking in Bull's greatness.
Well, then again, it's to Atlanta, so
Well, any
that's
team happens, but we'll
cool.
see. We'll see what you'd rather have done, looking back on this.
Yeah. Minnesota at 11. Who do you have them taking?
I'm taking PJ Washington to go alongside Cat in the front court. I mean, statistically, this man does not have a weakness. I mean, let's put it clearly. This guy, what he does is great. I mean, he's large. He's a good shooter. He'll space the floor well. He's good defensively. He can pass the ball. I mean, this guy, he doesn't really have a weakness statistically. I mean, I think that what he'll do he's young too, and I think the ability to have PJ Cat and Wiggins. Obviously, we've given up on Wiggins a lot, but we still forget that he is going to average 20, even though he's an inefficient scorer. He's going to score. I think PJ's going to help with Wiggins a lot, coming out of power forward position. And I think if you can build up that team, you have center Cat, power forward PJ Washington, uh, small forward Wiggins. That's a team, and we forget they're under 24. All three of them would be, and we still don't know what they can develop into. I mean, we've seen the work ethic is not there, but they could develop into something, and I think PJ Washington would be a nice complementary piece. He's one of the best players available. I think he is my best player available right now, but the problem
Yeah.
is that I think they need to guard a little bit more right now. But we'll see what Josh Okogie. We're getting Josh Okogie repping the tech gear right now.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
that team would be scary. All they need is a point guard now. We'll see if Jeff Teague is going to stay or Derrick Rose will stay or not, but they probably both will leave in free agency. But we'll see. I think Peter Washington would be a great fit. I think they need another young guy in Minnesota.
Now PJ is a good defender, But with a guy like Brandon Clark or Jackson Hayes on the board, at least for you, why would you take PJ over guys that are bona fide defensive stars and will definitely pick up the load for Cat's liability?
I think Jackson Hayes, I don't want to have the position. I don't want to burn up Cat in the paint because he's going to clog it up way too much for Cat to be a productive offensive player. So defensively, it'd make a lot of sense, but offensively, I think it'd be a liability. Um, and then Brandon Clark, I think they were looking on the younger side. I don't think they want to interfere with Wiggins. Um, but I think it's still best player available, and I think that position-wise, I think they'd like PJ best out of all the
Yeah.
positions. They are a point guard or power forward, and they have the best power forward available right now.
All right, so we have Charlotte next up with a slightly intriguing pick, in my opinion, and you have them taking who at the 12th spot?
It's got to be Cam Reddish, person with the top ceiling, but his floor. I mean, watching Duke, I mean, he kind of just looked kind of lethargic. I mean, I didn't really enjoy watching him. I just thought he was kind of there. I just saw him missing threes, and I just didn't feel like he was getting in his rhythm. I think he's got a great stroke, don't get me wrong, but his three just wasn't there in college, and maybe shooting from a larger distance will help him, but I don't think that'll really translate. He's lanky, and he'll get some defensive steals, and he's young, but I don't really see him doing that much to right now as a player, but potential wise, they need someone to replace Kemba Walker, who looks like he's out the door. Who I won't out the door, not looks like he looks like out the door, but they need someone with superstar potential to come in there, and Cam Reddish definitely has that. I mean, although he didn't show it in college, being a third option's hard, and being a first option in Charlotte, we'll see what he does, but he has the potential to be great.
Yeah, I do agree with that. We didn't get to see too much, only 14 points in college, and that's partially because he was the third option. But I definitely think when he gets into the NBA, he's going to get whipped into shape. It's going to be his mental approach on the game is definitely going to change, hopefully. So I can see him potentially being a 20, 21 point scorer in Charlotte.
And
Next
learning
up,
from a guy like Frank Kaminsky is really going to help.
I think the NBA as a whole. But then again, Frank Kaminsky is the best player in the league, so
So yeah, I mean that's going to help.
yeah, he's not nicknamed the Tank for no reason. Like, just putting that out there. A tank of lasagna for
I
Kaminsky.
mean, you did a good job commentating the Rising Star game with my boy Adam Lefko.
Yeah, I did see that. Him and Danny Green as well.
That was an entertaining game.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like the Rising Stars game more than the All Star game for some reason.
I mean, Lefko, Rising Star right there. I mean, everybody's a Rising Star in the game. Josh Kobe was fun though.
You know, there was this podcast. It's called Triple Threat, and they had
Yeah,
Adam
yeah, yeah.
Lefko on it.
It's a really
Definitely
entertaining
go check
episode
this
there. We'll link it in the
Yeah,
description maybe if I'm not lazy enough to forget it. I'm probably gonna
yeah,
forget it. So just go over to that channel or the
yeah.
whatever you're listening on and go
YouTube,
check out that
Spotify,
episode.
all the
Highly
major.
recommend it. Highly recommend.
All right, next up we got Miami, and who do you have them taking now that this Goran Dragic, Hassan Whiteside era is coming to an end?
I mean, they're still under contract, so they still got no cap at all. So I'm taking Brandon Clark. I mean, I love him as a prospect. He's really high on my big board, but he's an all-around good player. He's gonna contribute to team success. At the power forward position, they're gonna need someone besides alongside Bam Adebayo, and I think him and Brandon Clark's gonna be a good duo there. I really like that.
Nice.
That'd be very nice. Bam and him. You have Justice playing point or small forward, wherever they decide to play him as.
Josh
Um,
Richardson.
Obviously, and they have a good team. Uh, Josh at the shooting guard. I mean, I just really like what they're doing. Uh, gotta get rid of Cap. Get rid of Cap. But Brandon
Tyler.
Clark would be a great asset to this team. Great defensively, good offensively. What can you ask for? He's a little bit on the older side, so his ceiling is not as high, but his floor is going to be very high. And I don't think Miami's ever going to go into a tank, so they're just going to always stay mediocre. And Brandon Clark will definitely help do that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, with a lot of this cap, I can see them getting rid of it as the years go on. And Why do you take Clark, a more defensive specialized player, over an immediate offensive impact like some of the next guys on the mock draft?
Um, Personally, I think they have the ability to score. I don't know if they really want an offensive player right now. I think they're going to look forward in the future, but I think it's best player available, and I think that's the reason why they take it. I think maybe they won't offense more than defense, but I think they need the best player, and he would be definitely the best player available.
All right, next up we got Boston via Sacramento, and who do you have them taking?
You're gonna hate me for this. They're taking Jackson Hayes. I
Okay,
mean, I
best player.
don't love him. It's not great college production. 10 points, um, 5 rebounds.
It's about the ceiling.
It's about the ceiling. But if you don't produce in college, I'm not gonna love you, and that's the point. Is blank. I'm not gonna love you if you don't produce in college. And
Hey, they won the NIT tournament, the second most legitimate, maybe third besides the ACC
oh,
tournament.
they were one of the best 68 teams in basketball. Oh, wow.
But then again, they're like better than like I don't know, Sam Houston State probably.
Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't love it. I mean, he's an efficient scorer. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's a positive on all ends. He doesn't rebound great for a big man. Um, and
But he has some
that's
potential, especially with the athleticism, to be one of those rebounding, shot blocking, athletic inside players.
I mean, he definitely has the potential to do that. But I think Boston, they're gonna need a rebounder when Al Horford goes, because they got to get the ball out to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier, who I think is gonna stay around. Now that Kyrie's gonna go on to the Nets, but I don't think they need so. I think they're gonna need someone like Jackson Hayes. Never mind, I'm kind of ruining my points, but they need someone like Jackson Hayes because he is efficient and he's going to not turn the ball over. He's not the greatest rebounder, but they have Al Horford, who's going to teach him, show him the ropes. I think that's going to be a great fit. Sorry that I was going against my own points there, kind of got a little bit confused. But I like Jackson Hayes. Just didn't produce in college. Not going to love you.
But at the same time, you have this new progeny of Texas big men. You got what's his name?
Jared
Miles
Allen.
Turner, Jared Allen, Mohamed Bamba, all guys that have really proven in the league that
Is
they're
Mo Bamba really proven in the league, or was he kind of a letdown last year?
a slight letdown. Just he was a pretty. The song was kind of cool, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
okay.
At one time, it was cool.
Yeah, like maybe for a week, and then it got overplayed with sicko mode. But that's another topic for the future. Um, I think that all these guys have shown that they are really good shot blockers, and I see Hayes next in line for that position, and I see his game translate very similarly to that of Jarrett Allen's. Moving on to pick number 15, we got the Detroit Pistons with
They're going to be taking someone I know you like, and it's going to be
like him
Kevin Porter Jr. I
pretty
mean,
good player.
what?
Pretty good player.
He's a pretty good player. I mean, I do like him a lot. He has a lot of potential, and again, didn't produce that much in college, 9.5 points. But shooting guard is only a position of need for the Pistons since they traded away the GOAT Stanley Johnson to the Pelicans. Um, but they really need somebody at those guard spots because they have their front court down with Blake Griffin and
Andre.
Andre Drummond. Um, but they really need depth in the guard spots, and I think this is the best guard available. He has a good ceiling. Um, he's only 19 right now, young, 19 at that. He's a decent blocker, shot blocker, and rebounder for the shooting guard position. 6'5", good height. I really like him. Um,
Athletic.
he is very athletic. Um, but yeah, he's a little bit unproven coming out of USC. Didn't produce that much, but he definitely has a ceiling and definitely is a position of need, and that's why I have Detroit taking Kevin Porter.
So two things that I want to touch base on about Kevin Porter, and one of them will be very exciting. But first of all, Kevin Porter, as we saw, was a very ISO type scorer. He relied on himself and his shot creating ability to get buckets. With Drummond, Griffin, and Reggie Jackson, with him being that third, second, maybe even fourth option, do you think his game will translate well in Detroit, or will he need to be the first option on another team to really reach his max potential?
I mean, I like Dwayne Casey as a coach to get the best out of him because that's what he does as a coach. He doesn't make those in-game adjustments, and that's kind of the reason why he kind of left
Toronto.
Toronto. I mean, we saw with Nick Nurse with those boxing ones on Steph Curry that they did in-game to shut him down. That's what they wanted as a coach, and I mean, what he's gonna do, I think that it's gonna be a good fit for him because he's gonna have uh, a lot of offensive load on him, and I think that Dwayne Casey's gonna get a good job out of him. I think Detroit's gonna be a pretty decent fit for him.
Now, something that I touch base on in my mock draft, what do you see is a good player comparison for Kevin Porter?
Um, I mean, as you said, he has the scoring ability, but I don't see it as much. I don't really know what to label him as a prospect, but I see. I This is really difficult to think of a player on the spot of what he's kind of like, but
There was definitely one interesting one that we mentioned.
oh, you want me to say that? You want me to say that Kevin Porter is OJ Mayo and not on drugs?
We'll get to
Yes,
Tyrone
yes.
next.
Okay, we'll say that he is OJ Mayo, but not doped out of his mind.
All right, sweet. Okay, Orlando, 16.
They're gonna be taking Tyler Harrow out of Kentucky. Um, and with Nikola Vucevic, their second best shooter, gone, I think him and Terrence Ross, ooh, that's gonna be shooting lights out. I think with Markel Fultz really gonna need that floor spacing for him to get maximum efficiency. They're gonna need to unclog the paint because of Jonathan Isaac and Mo Bamba. I think having those two lockdown shooters is going to be really beneficial. Hero at the shooting guard, Terrence Ross. Man, was Terrence Ross good in that game in the first game of the playoffs? I mean,
Really
he was
was.
good through the whole series of the playoffs. I was really impressed with what he did against his former team. Um, I think that's going to be a scary duo. Shooting wise, I think Markel Fultz, playmaking wise, is going to be decent if he ever comes back from that traumatized shoulder. And they have two good paint players. Jonathan Isaac played relatively well last season, really underlooked. And Mo Bamba going sicko mode next
Mm,
season potentially.
mm, 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 mm. Who's Atlanta? Taking at 17. Can't really get the octaves, but
You can't really
that's what
replicate the beat, but I really respect the effort there, Ishan. Let's give it a round of applause for
I'm
Mo
gonna get a
Ishan Chef.
piano. I'm gonna get a piano and just play the little piano part. That's gonna be our new intro.
I think we're good. Rod Simba's gonna be very unhappy if we change it from his great beat to Ishan Chef's
Shout out Rod
Mobamba.
and Dijon Mustard.
Shout out Rod. If you ever listen to the Rod podcast, that'll also check out the channel. That was a great episode. We talk about takeover of sports and sports culture around the world. I think that was a great episode. We
That was
broadened our horizons there, and we're talking about more than just the sports itself. We're talking about the not the players themselves, but the sport as a general,
culture.
the culture of the sport. But we don't really talk about here. We just talk about the players and what's going to happen, and was this a good move or not. We don't really talk about the future of sports and where sports is headed. I think that's a really interesting perspective we gained from Rod. But Hawks at 17, Talon Horton Tucker. I mean, I really like him as a player. He has length. He's young. He's good defensively. He can pass. I mean, what he does for Iowa State, who's I like Iowa State this year. I mean, I watched them a lot in football, and I watched a bit in basketball as well. I don't know why. I kind of became an Iowa State fan this season. But
Yeah,
Talon Horton Tucker really has the versatility to become a good player. 12 points, 5 rebounds. I really liked what he did. I think he has great. He's a positional need. They need a wing in Atlanta. He'll fit right in. I really think Trey, Kevin Hurt, Talon Horton, John Collins, Bull. I really think that's great
it's so
young
good.
nucleus you could build around. I mean, then you have the cap space to go out and get a great player, but that young nucleus will be phenomenal position of need, and it's one of the most versatile, interesting prospects I've seen in a while. 18 and a half. I mean, whoo, this guy is going to be pretty interesting coming out. He's got a young, but he's got a lot of room to grow, and I'm really excited to see what he would do. And Atlanta seems like the perfect fit for him.
So yes, I like this a lot, and I think Travis Schlenk, our GM, was really, really trying to replicate the whole Golden State thing that he did or that he was part of with Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And I know they play different positions, but he's got the defense. He's unselfish, good passer, okay
You're saying
scorer.
Draymond?
Do you see the quote unquote wing version of Draymond
Yeah, I really
and
do.
Talon Horton?
6'4", 7'1" wingspan. He could be Draymond. Of course he could be. I mean, I don't think he's going to be the passer of Draymond. Draymond's a phenomenal passer. I really don't think he can replicate that or the tenacity. But Talon Horton Tucker would be the wing version of Draymond. That is a perfect comparison right there. And he's entering the draft born in 2000. I think this is going to be really interesting to see.
Man, we got some 2000 guys now. That's crazy.
That is
Next up, we got Indiana, and who do you have them taking with the?
I have them taking Nickel Alexander Walker out of Virginia Tech, someone who I'm very familiar going against as a Tech fan, watching him come to Mechanics Pavilion, pulling out wins somehow. But really impressive
Even
player.
at Duke too.
Even at Duke as well. Defensively great, passing wise great. He's going to be a great player. I mean, in Indiana, they're gonna need a two guard. Obviously Tyreek Evans is gone.
Oladipo.
And Depot's hurt, but I think a two guard is gonna be helpful for them, and he can play point sometimes. I think
Yeah,
that's gonna be his main position at point.
I
Um,
did see the leadership qualities.
And yes, that is a big asset he has. But what I think he's going to do is he's going to play point. Depot comes out, he'll rotate to shooting guard. And I think that's going to be really good for him as a player. And he can score, he can pass, he can get some boards. He can play defense, perfect pacer. I really like the fit, I like the player, and it's great all around.
Yeah, really reminds me of his cousin Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, future star, plays for the Clippers, and I think he does bring more of a scoring aspect, and that's something we saw at Virginia Tech, averaging like 16 to 18 points, I think, and he really, really showed up in big games against the toughest opponents and probably the toughest conference in basketball.
And
So I'm really excited to see his production in the NBA.
my philosophy is if you can produce and score efficiently in college, in the ACC, you're going to do it in pros. We saw it uh, 3 years ago, I think. Top scorers: Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell. Um, was that the that was the top two players in the NBA that year. Marvin Bagley last year, Josh Okogie, great players in the NBA. Well, Okogie wasn't great, but Bagley was phenomenal at the end of the year.
Hey,
If you
hey,
can,
hey, Josh was great. That ceiling is high.
but he wasn't a great scorer in the NBA. He was a
Okay,
good
not super.
player in the NBA.
Yeah,
I wasn't going great. I was going good. I think he had a good season last year. I think he showed his potential. He flashed it a lot. But
different expectations.
if you can score in the ACC, you're going to be just okay or you're going to be not just okay, but you're going to be perfectly fine in the NBA. You're going to be ready for it, ready for the challenge. And I think Nickel Alexander Walker's going to take it by the storm.
All right, moving on to San Antonio, who could very well draft the steal at number 19. You have them taking.
Mfiondu Kavalenge.
Yeah.
Ooh, this guy has incredible defensive versatility and ability. Um, what what he has as a player, this is his per 36 stats: 10 boards, 2.5 blocks, 22 points. You have that right, 22 points in the ACC on per 36. What he does, and that's just offensively. Defensively, phenomenal, versatile. He's going to be incredible. He's a decent shooter from a big man. He's incredibly efficient. And as a San Antonio Spur, what is this going to be? This guy's going to be incredible. DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Smith, add Mfiondu, Lonnie Walker. This is going to be incredible. I mean, that's just a young trio. You add in DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, Pop is going to have some weapons for him. And Pop is really developing this next new wave of Spurs. I think Mfiondu would be a great player for that.
Yeah, totally. Remember, you got Derek White, and never count out the Spurs when it comes to player development, and never count them all come playoff time. I can see John, I can see Cavangeli coming out big come playoff time like he did in March Madness.
I mean, I watched this defensively. I'm like, how was he stopping everything? I mean, it was incredible to watch. And yeah, Derek White came out of nowhere. Was it Colorado State he came out of? Didn't get a scholarship, worked his way up from JUCO. I believe I could be getting that completely wrong, but I know this for sure. He came out of nowhere, no scholarships, and he was
You know, scholarship, undersized,
phenomenal. Phenomenal.
totally. Moving on to a team that I just really despise because I'm an Atlanta fan. I think you despise them as well. We got Boston and their pick via the Clippers.
It's it's a Johnson, but it's Keldon Johnson out of Kentucky. I think he's got crazy potential. Small forward. I mean, I don't know if it's a great position of need. I think they could have gone a different direction, but I
He's a
think
little
that
undersized. He can play the two as well.
he can play the two, but that's also Jalen Brown's position. So I don't really know if it's a position of need. I think they would have gone power forward here. But
The
Keldon,
best type thing.
I really do like Keldon. He's got great athleticism. He's got a ceiling astronomical, and I think with the right coach and the right management, which is great in Boston, uh, he's going to be something special. One of those Oak Hill um, high school phenoms, and I think he's going to be great for Boston. I think he has to find the right fit to develop in the NBA, and I think Boston's definitely the right fit for him.
Yeah, and don't count on his jump shot. We didn't get to see too much at Kentucky, but it's definitely there. We saw it at Oak Hill, and of course the unreal athleticism that this guy brings to the table. Moving on to Oklahoma City. Who do you have them selecting with the 21st overall pick?
A power forward who is an All American this year, Grant Williams. Uh, he was incredible. He can pass as a big man. He his passing ability is quite spectacular. Um, he has great offensive skills. He has decent defensive skills, and I think what he can do, they're gonna need somebody who's gonna be able to pass because Russell Westbrook has great stats as a passer, but he's a decent passer. I think Grant Williams is gonna be great alongside Steven Adams in the front court is going to be a scary duo. Andre Robertson comes back defensively, but I think they would have gone for a little bit more shooting here. But not terrible 32% from three in college. I think that 3-point shooting form was pretty decent. I think he can develop into the league. But as a four, I think he's going to be great for the team. All round great player. I really like what he can do. 18 points, almost 19 at Tennessee, and he was great in the tournament, phenomenal all year. I really like what he can do, and his passing ability as a big man is going to be unprecedented. Him and
Totally. It's
Steven Adams will be a great front court duo.
gonna be fun to watch if it does happen.
Let's
Now,
hope it happens. Let's
yeah.
hope it happens.
Now we got Boston with their third pick, this time via themselves. Crazy. And who do you have them taking with the 22nd overall pick?
It's going to be the third player on the same AAU team drafted, Nick Claxton, the most versatile big man. This guy can do everything. He's not the great offensive player, but his defensively, he is phenomenal. He can pass, and I said defense is his specialty. He's going to lock it down. Him and Al Horford are going to be a great duo. Those both of them can do everything as a big man. And I
Plus,
think as this, I mean, I can't even. I mean, he's great. Georgia Tech played Georgia earlier in the year, and I'm like, oh, they're talking about this Nick Claxton dude. I bet he can't do that much against us. Oh, wait, he destroyed us, and even he had a great offensive game against us, and we're a good defensive team. I love Nick Claxton as a prospect. He is so versatile as a big man, and I think what he can do, even being 6'11", almost 7-footer, 7'2" wingspan, he can pass, and he's a great defender. I mean, shot's not there, but he is great defensively.
yeah, uber athletic.
So
To be,
versatile.
to be honest, he's. I think this is the right time for him to get drafted, but it'd be so nice to see him stay an extra year and play with Anthony Edwards.
Oh,
That
that
would
would
be a
be something
lot of
fun to
fun to watch.
watch.
That's an athletic duo right there.
But I think it's Nick Claxton's time. He's gonna be a first rounder. There's no good in coming back to college if you're already a first rounder. You can't really
Yeah,
build yourself up that more. You can only
yeah.
hurt your draft stock. So he's gonna come out If he's a first rounder, take it, run with it, and if you go to Boston, thank the stars because you're going into the perfect spot.
Totally. Next up we got Utah. You have them taking an Atlanta native power forward. Who is that power forward at number 23?
Chuma Okiki. I mean, the problem is his ACL. Big problem. But
Yeah,
his tournament was so spectacular. I had Auburn going to the finals in my bracket, and they
he did.
almost made it happen. But it is all thanks to him. All thanks to Chuma Okiki. I mean,
And
Jared
Bryce.
Harper was great. I mean, obviously the team, it's a team, but Chuma Okiki was so phenomenal. I can't. Derek Favors is on the decline, and we saw it in Jimmy Kimmel. Chris Bosh got all the questions right. Derek didn't even do anything. Kind of
Yeah,
got carried a
I
little
saw
bit.
that.
But Chuma Okiki, I love him as a prospect. He he has the ability to develop offensively. He can steal. He's great defensively. He can pass. He doesn't foul. His plus minuses on both ends are great. I mean, what I love about him is that he brought that energy to that Auburn team. Even through his injury, they rallied behind him. They rallied for him. They brought it all the way to the Final Four, and they were robbed by themselves and by the refs. I mean, so tough to go out, but Chumokiki on the court and off the court was the main reason for their success, and I believe that him and the Utah Jazz would be a
Yeah,
phenomenal Rudy Gobert in the paint, so he's free to roam around and get those steals and be a great. I just thought about that. That would be phenomenal. Rudy Gobert in the paint clogging it up, and then he can roam around and get those steals. That would be phenomenal. Please make this happen because I love Chuma Okiki as a player, and Jazz would be the perfect fit for him.
and we've seen what happens when guys bring energy into the Jazz's system with Donovan Mitchell. Chuma Okiki can make that impact on both sides of the floor. And I think he could develop into a nice low post offensive talent. Moving on to Philadelphia at pick 24, we got the next international player, and who is that?
It's Lucas Manage. I mean, you said my Brooklyn Nets crew coach. I mean, not crew coach. Karuk's. What's his name again?
Yeah, Crooks. Yeah,
Karuk's. But they need a shooter so badly in Philadelphia. They need him besides JJ Redick, and Lucas Manage from power forward is going to alleviate
he can do
so
it
much
all.
pressure. He's going to alleviate so much pressure on Joel and Ben Simmons because they're clogging up the paint. Imagine having Lucas Manage taking that away, opening up spacing. JJ Redick on the small forward, opening up space. All he needs is a shooting guard to open up space because Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid cannot thrive in the same offense unless every single person around them can shoot the ball. And Lucas and Manage will be a perfect fit. 6'11", wingspan's a bit of a problem, but that doesn't matter. He's 19 and he's still a great player. And the Sixers are
Totally.
posting workouts with him, and he's super happy with it. I think he's going to be great. He's going to be a great shooter, MVP of the European Championship under 18s. I mean, if you can prove it over there, you're going to prove it over here. Great fit. Philadelphia, count your lucky stars because you have a great player.
All right, moving on, we got Portland, a team that made it to the Western Conference Finals and then got swept. And who do you have them taking at pick 25?
I mean, Al Farouk Amin is not going to be long term. So they need somebody by the name of KZ Okpala to take that and be their next great player. And I think he can be. I mean, I think he's got the ability to be a good player. 17 points for Stanford, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. But I mean, he's got 6'9", 7'1", 7'2" wingspan. I think he's gonna be a good player. I really don't know too much about him, but I've heard great things about him. I've watched a little bit of his tape, but I think with the Blazers system, I think he's gonna be a great player. I think he brings a lot to the table, and I think that's going to help the Blazers maybe get back to the Western Conference Finals. I'm gonna say second round with KZ, but I really like him, and he's got a great name, KZ. It's like kind of like Demonte KZ, but like it's just KZ.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have
Is it
watched
a
a
better
bit of.
name than Alfred Camino though?
I don't know. They're definitely both up there. I did watch a little bit of Apollo. I saw the athleticism was definitely there, pretty raw. And as you mentioned, he is a lengthy dude. He can definitely make a big defensive impact. And
That's what
I
they
think
that's what they need.
and I think you're at pick 25. It's very unlikely that you're gonna get a 28-point scorer, but with a guy like Apala, you can definitely get a really solid 3 and D player that could be a good third or fourth option.
Yeah. I mean, 37% from three is nothing to laugh at from power forward. I think
Yeah.
him, Canner, and
Nurkic.
Nurkic. Poor Nurkic, man. I mean, if he comes back, I really hope he comes back as the same player because he was really becoming something special there at
Yeah.
the end. But, anyways, I think that they're gonna need him, and I think he's gonna be a good player for them, especially with the shooting of Dame and CJ. They're gonna need someone on the defensive end, and I think that's gonna be KZ.
All right, we got Cleveland next up via Houston, and at pick 26, who do you have them taking?
I know they already have a point guard, but he can play shooting guard as well. They have Ty Jerome.
Totally.
He can pass, great defensively. He can shoot decently. He's valuable. He's part of a system that can win championships. And I think having a bigger role on a team that's garbage, let me put it flatly, they are terrible. Kevin Love, you should. He's going to be out the door because he does not want to sit around in here. Um, but Ty Jerome is really going to be something great for this team. He's on the older side. He's around 22. He turns 22 on the 7th. Um, so let's hope that he can be the playmaker for this team. And I really think that him, Colin Sexton, and then DeAndre Hunter reunited with his former teammate as well. I think that's another connection that I was trying to make here because
Yeah.
if you have one of them, you should try to get both of them, and maybe the second round you get Guy as well. Hopefully, you complete the trio, but I don't think that's a little bit too much to ask for. But I think good duo. I think him and Sexton up top will be a good backcourt, and then Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter already have that connection formed. So I think this is going to be a good duo and a good trio for Cleveland to build their team around.
Yeah. And like we said about Hunter, playing in Virginia's system really allowed you to sacrifice your for the greater good of the team. And especially in a young team, you're playing at a much faster pace. You're definitely going to produce a lot more. The efficiency is going to slightly go down, but I can see Jerome being a 15, 16-point scorer as a ceiling. All right, next up we got your Brooklyn Nets at pick 27, and you have them picking a guy that could maybe even go in the top 10.
As Nasir Little, and as much as I hate to say it, if you're a top five player coming out of high school and you can't make the top five players under college, there's a reason for it. And I don't. The production's not there. 3-point shooting was 27%. I mean, he's got great length, great defensively, but I don't know what I'm expecting out of him. But at these later picks, it's boom or bust, and this guy has some boom athleticism out the roof. Um, Great combine, great workout, great interviews. But if he comes to be the player that we thought he was coming to be out of high school, I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be loving this alongside Kyrie Irving, maybe D'Angelo Russell, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert. Nasir Little would fit right in there. They need some defensive presence, and he's going to provide that. Um, I was hoping they would have picked Bufondu with their 17th pick, but they traded away to get that max contract spot. So I think it's worthwhile move at the end. But Nasir Little, at this value, I love it, but I would not pick him in the top 15 because the value there is not at all because you
Yeah.
cannot have a bust that high.
All right, we got the Golden State Warriors at number 28, and who do you have them taking?
I mean, they need big men. I don't know if DeMarcus can stay. I don't know if he wants to stay for. I don't know if they can offer him that money, especially if they re-sign Kevin Durant. But Goga Beyonce is going to be a great player, rising up the draft boards. 12 points per game, but per 36, that's 18. I'll read the per 36 stats because that's a better representation of a player.
And they're
31% from three. That's all right from a center. 10 rebounds a game, 2 assists, almost three and a half blocks, and 18 points. He's going to shoot decently, but what you really want out of him is his shot blocking ability, his ability to score, and he's been flying up the draft board because of his combine and because of his workouts, and he's 19, and he's got the ability, and I think he's got everything the Golden State Warriors desired because Andrew Bogut, he's out the door. He looks terrible. Um, they need a big man, and Goga can be that guy, and I think he can play in that small ball lineup that Golden State likes to run, or they can kick him out and put Draymond at center. It doesn't matter. I think Goga would be perfect for the Warriors. As much as I hate to say it, they're going to love this pick too.
Yeah, I actually had Goga going a little higher in my mock draft, and he is all over the place in a lot of these mocks. Some have him going in the lottery, and some have him going where you're going at the 28th spot. Now, next up, we have San Antonio via Toronto, and who do you have them taking at pick 29?
I hope they see what I see in Tyus Battle. I know I have a lot of explaining to do because people don't even have him getting drafted this year. He should have come out last year, first round pick, definitely. But if you can score in the ACC, you can score everywhere. He had a down year this year, but last year he was the second highest scorer in the ACC behind Marvin Bagley. He put that Syracuse team on his back. This year is a little bit of a down year, had some injury concerns, but I think he's going to bounce back and play better than ever. But 17 points per game this season, almost 20 last year. I just think that what he can do, if you can score in the ACC, you can score in the NBA. And I hope Pop sees what I see in this player because watching Tech, watching the ACC nonstop, I love Tyus Battle coming out. I was looking for him all the time because what I see in him as a player is so phenomenal. He doesn't have any glaring weaknesses, but he doesn't have any glaring strengths. So I think that's going to be a problem for somebody. But I love what he can do, and I hope that he gets the right fit. And if he goes undrafted, it's going to be a long, long road up back to the NBA. But
Oh, yeah.
hopefully he gets picked second round, first round. But if he gets to the right team and they use him correctly, I really want to see what he does. But I have to evaluate this after the draft to see where he goes, if he goes somewhere, to see if I love him still. But I think he has the first round ability written all over him. I think kind of ignored this year, but last year he was so phenomenal. I just love what he did.
All right, finally, we got Milwaukee at pick 30, and who do you have?
The walking bucket himself, Carson Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
He can shoot, he can pass, and he can score. 24 points a game, 30-something points over the tournament. He was clutch. He was a walking bucket. He was carrying Purdue. He made that team click. He's a little undersized, 6 foot, but he's got a 6'6" wingspan. I mean, he'll be a negative defensively, but imagine Carson Edwards and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Wow.
Do I see scoring? I thought I heard some scoring with Carson and Giannis. That
Scoring.
would be really nice.
Imagine that, a duo with people that are both putting up 20 points. Okay, I'm not going to go that crazy. 15 points for him, 30 points for Giannis. I mean, this is going to be a crazy duo. I mean, I know they don't care about all the players they have. Let some of them walk. I mean, Brogdon, phenomenal shooter. I love Brogdon. Bring him back. But they have way too many players that they have to sign at the guard position. And if they want to compete and win a title, it's not going to be with this team. And I think they have to make some changes because they can't pay everybody. And so they got to let some guys go. And getting Carson Edwards is going to really help let some people go because he is going to be phenomenal. Because he is a walking bucket. And I'll let you finish talking about Carson Edwards because I know you love him as much as I do.
Oh, yeah. We really saw what he can do when the game is on the line. He's facing elimination in March Madness. And what was it in the Elite Eight? It was like 43 points? Something crazy like that.
He didn't miss. He didn't miss
He
at all.
didn't miss. He almost beat the national champions, the eventual national champions, Virginia, with a mediocre Purdue team.
And I want to say this. Carson Edwards' production is what we thought we were seeing out of Darius Garland. I'd like to say that clear. Carson Edwards is what we thought Darius was going to be.
Yeah.
But Carson's undersized, and yeah, you got to be the right size. Carson Edwards could be as good as Darius Garland. I'm going to say it there. I'm saying it now. Carson Edwards could be as good as Darius Garland. I think if he was 6'6", he's going in the top 10. Top 5.
Carson
Top
Edwards
5.
is
If
6'6"
he's 6'6",
with his skill set. Jeez. And remember, he's going to be bigger, so he's going to be able to see the court better, and he's going to be less of a defensive liability. Oh my God. I don't even care that we have Trae Young. That would be like an amazing shooting guard.
If the Pels got him in the second round, I'd be so ecstatic with that.
I
I
want
think at
Atlanta
pick
to get him in the second
36.
round because our current backup point guard is a dude named Jalen Adams. So if you've heard of Jalen Adams, I'm very proud. But to conclude this, the same question that you asked me: who won this draft and who lost?
I mean, I gotta go. First, I know you had bias with your Hawks, and I have bias with my Pelicans.
That's fair.
So Zion, Colvert, and Darius Garland, that is a win right there.
Oh yeah,
Um, I think that's a phenomenal draft. Celtics, Jackson Hayes was a steal at that value. I like the value at that pick. Kellen Johnson was a good pick, and then Nick Claxton, I think that's a great tandem, a great pick. I mean, if you have a lot of picks, I think you win the draft basically.
yeah.
Um, I really like I mean, I can't really say the top teams, but I like this. The steals that I think are going to happen. I think the Hawks with Talon Horton and Bull, that's a win in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me on that
Oh yeah.
completely. I think San Antonio has two steals, Tyus Battle and Mafiondu, two ACC players. My bias, sorry. I
That's fair.
think Golden State has a win, but for the losses, I'm gonna have to go with the Heat not getting the value that they wanted at that pick. I love Brandon Clark. I think he's a top pick, but that's not what they needed at that value. At that pick, that's not the player that they needed. So I'm going to say that's a little bit of an L right there. I think as a
Oh,
player, they're going to be
Washington too.
super happy with that, but the value just wasn't there completely. Um, I don't love exactly what I did with Brooklyn. I don't love Nasir Little. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, I
But
like New York better.
the
Not
thing
gonna
is with our mock draft is you really can't have L's because it's your opinion of who you should have
lie.
take.
Yeah.
So it's not really L's. These L's are very small in my opinion, but the W's are all over the board in my opinion. I try to match the players with their fit, and if it matches my mock board or my mock draft at the end of the day, I'm really happy with that team because I know they're getting a player that's gonna fit with their system and be a good player. Because I think everyone on this draft board is going to be good where they play. It doesn't it really matters where you play, and we saw that with a lot of players in the NBA. And so we'll see in draft day, we'll reevaluate, we'll reassess players because Tyus Battle could go somewhere I call it an F, even though I love the player. We could see someone like Cam Reddish go somewhere I would call it an F just because of the value and because of the fit.
Yeah.
It all depends on value and fit if it's a good pick or not. So we'll see after the draft. We'll see you then. Signing off from Atlanta, I'm William Ezel.
I'm Ishan Chef. Stay tuned for more episodes, Triple Threat Podcasts.